Tonight, we are hearing from someone who was in the south end of that Amazon building, which is what collapsed. He says he was very likely close to death, if not for one alert coworker. News 4's Gabriela Vidal has the Wood River man's story.
The walls caved in, and they got pinned to the ground by a giant block of concrete.
39-year-old Craig Yost sharing his terrifying memory inside the Amazon warehouse in Edwardsville as a tornado tore through Friday night.
Yeah, I was pinned down on my left hip with my right hip and my right shoulder holding a chunk of concrete. On top of my left knee was a door from the bathroom stall, and my head was on that with my left arm wrapped around my head, and I could just move my right hand and my foot.
Yost had been working as a contracted delivery driver at the warehouse for 2 months. It was around 8:15 Friday night when he returned to the facility after finishing his route.
They're telling people just park your van and go to the shelter. Where's the shelter? The bathrooms. Okay. So I parked the van and go to the bathroom. And they had people directing others to the bathroom. And that's where we sat and waited. Like, part of me wanted to leave because, I'd always rather be at home if something bad's happening. But the other part of me is from the Midwest, and I've seen a million tornado warnings.
He says it was around 8:30 when the walls started falling.
I had a broken pelvic bone, tailbone, broken thigh bone near the hip that required 3 screws, bruising everywhere, there's swelling all around my head because the concrete was constantly, it was like a slow trash compactor.
Yost says he was nearby other workers who would later be identified as the victims of the warehouse collapse. A fellow worker who was able to hear Yost call for help got EMS and rescue to find him.
The room that we're in is the size of the room we were all in. And so when I heard Joe, I knew that was my only chance, and thank God he did what he did, because I wouldn't be here otherwise.
Yost was airlifted to SLU Hospital and remains here as he slowly begins to recover.
This is the first time I've been out of that bed or off of my back since they pulled me out of that rubble at midnight, whatever, that night. I don't know how long I'm going to be in this particular room, how long I'm going to be next before I get to rehab.
But he is feeling fortunate that he can return home and is hurting for the 6 victims who can't do the same.
It was just earlier today when I learned all the names of the people who weren't so fortunate, and that was not easy. It was extremely difficult, actually. And for me, it was a wake-up call. I went from joking in a room with some guys I know to being in a spot that could have been my last, and I would just tell people, that don't take any of it for granted, because nothing's promised.
A GoFundMe has been set up to help Yost and his family while he's out of work recovering. Gabriela Vidal, News 4.